So safety has become a very big kind of a buzzword, and people are more and more, in a way, waking up, and in some places even demanding that feeling safe, first physically, but then a lot of talk goes around also emotional safety, is something that they want and need in a work environment, or in workshops also, or in places you also go to on your own free will. So it's both in the, again, professional and personal domain. And it's not something that is an automatic given. So safety is a really complex experience. And what we know from the research around trauma and neuroscience is that we have an inbuilt, very refined mechanism to all the time sense and measure how emotionally safe we feel within a given environment, or a relationship. And of course, that sense in us is also kind of like loaded with our history of where we felt safe or our safety was threatened. So everybody comes to a group or a meeting or a session with a specific history around feeling safe or not. And so again, it's the time of our development in this world that we are waking up to the importance of this, because if people are feeling safe, they feel naturally engaged, they feel naturally curious, they feel naturally open to learn, they feel naturally inclined to create something new and to contribute, which are all great things you want to have when you're working with people, because that's how learning and creativity and development's happening naturally. If people are not feeling safe, and all of this might happen just under the conscious radar of the person themselves, or also for you as the facilitator or leader of a specific situation. So if they're not feeling safe, part of themselves is not present. So there's a part that will not be able to contribute, to be present, to create, to learn, to be willing to take feedback and to implement changes. If it's very, very strong, people get outright defensive, shut down, or become aggressive, and you don't actually have any energy left anymore to talk about what you came together for. So you're busy with the negotiation of safety all the time. So we're waking up to see, like, we need to face this, because the people are getting educated and more oriented around this, that this is an important element. Now, this is very good, because of course we can create much more effective and sustainable and fun places to be with if we look at safety. And of course, we can also go to the other extreme, that suddenly the paradigm of feeling safe, how I feel emotionally safe, trumps everything all the time. And there it's important that when you include more trauma awareness in the work that you do, that it's really, the most important is to feel that people feel seen and resonant and understood with their need for feeling safe. When you learn to provide that in your work, a lot of the charge will already kind of drop away. And that means that that there's a few basics that you can do to make that more explicitly clear. And so there's like words and things you can do to make that more clear to people, to signal that. But it's also something you start to learn and embody in yourself, and that makes you safe. When you know what safety feels like for you, where your own vulnerabilities are, what maybe is a trigger for you, you become a more safe environment, an embodied person. And then the next thing is also that if somebody doesn't feel safe, it doesn't mean that you have to do something immediately to change that. But it's more important to recognize that this is in the room, and this will work in the training to differentiate very clear, depending on the context that you're working with, whether you want to address and make that a subject of your negotiation and process to see what can change, or sometimes it's just enough, and a very powerful enough, to recognize, yes, this is in the room, I heard you, and I'll take that to heart. If I can do something about it, I might do it. If I choose not to, that's also fine, but I'm not neglecting your experience. And maybe something sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, and that's fine as well. So to have the clarity on these 3 steps is a crucial part of the work, which makes, again, it makes it more safe for you, and it makes it more safe for everybody in the room, because one person in the room being very busy with the experience of not feeling safe, and this is not addressed, will become like a spark that can set the whole group on fire. And suddenly, either directly in the moment, or if you have ongoing meetings, with time, it can spiral into a very difficult dimension that suddenly you don't even know anymore where did that come from. So it's also like a precautionary measure to make sure that there is a safe ground on which you're working together. And one more thing around safety is that it's not just a one-way street, that you deliver safety, but you want to create an environment that people first feel safe, and then they come up with their own engagement and their own agency, their own capacity to contribute, which is a huge force that makes people safe. If I can do something, I'm not helpless. And safety often, when it's overwhelming, has a component of like, there is something that is not feeling right to me, but I have no power or capacity to change any of that. If there is a unconscious power hierarchy in the group, or your issues cannot be addressed, or you're receiving double messages. The person is saying one thing, but actually acts in a different way. So all these things people notice very clearly, some consciously, and a lot of it just through our embodied sense of our nervous system. And then it will have unconscious effects. So again, it's a deep subject, but there is a few basics that you can understand that will kind of take care of a lot of potential dilemmas and struggles that can come up in facilitation and leadership. And again, will make your work hopefully much more joyful, easy, and fun, because when people are present and feel engaged, it's much more creative.